Greetings, tabletop addicts and adventurers in recovery. My name is Stubby, and I'm joined by my co-host and partner in critical conversation, Gygis. And this is Talking Crit, your Critical Role companion podcast for Campaign 4.
That's right. Every week, we dive deep into the latest episode of Critical Role's Campaign 4, breaking down every scene, theory crafting like mad, and talking through the wildest moments that kept us glued to our screens.
And today, we're covering Episode 2, Broken Wing. We'll be doing a scene-by-scene breakdown from the intense cold open on the battlefield in the Falconer's Rebellion, all the way to the emotional ending scene with Wick's grandmother.
We'll unpack the story beats, character choices, and the subtle details that might have flown under the radar, plus our own thoughts, theories, and a few wild predictions for what's coming next.
If you missed Episode 1, don't worry. We'll give you enough context so that you can jump right in with us. But fair warning, spoilers ahead for Campaign 4, Episode 2. You've been warned.
Alrighty then. Grab your dice, grab your drink, and let's roll into the recap.
So that is where we open, is that cold opening where we're in the Falconer's Rebellion. This is a crazy kind of shift as far as D&D campaigns go. I've honestly never seen a campaign go from present day level 3 to playing a flashback where you are level 1. And that was kind of a big thing because Tayor is a paladin, as we found out, and he was going to try and save, or not save, but stabilize Cadigan. And normally as a level 3 paladin, you'd have more at your disposal, whereas at level 1, you've got very, very little. So then he was just having to go with, like, what little training he has. But then we transition into the House Cormoré sorcerer coming down, and as he comes down, he casts this summoning spell around Loza Blade, and starts to summon a dragon. But luckily, we have Thimble coming in to break her concentration, which I think, or their concentration. We don't know if the sorcerer is a boy. And this is kind of an interesting way of going about it because it was a very role-play heavy combat scenario. We had, like, it was just
Like, I wouldn't look at it as an actual battle. This was still just like,
purely role-play.
hey, are you gonna make it out or not?
Yeah, purely roleplay. But there's something, I mean, that I have this in my notes, that, like, if someone dies in a flashback, that could mess with the continuity of the story we had in Episode 1, because we had people that were alive in Episode 1 being Cadigan and Azune were both alive. So if they were to die, that could mess with the continuity. I mean, given...
I had been wondering that while I was listening to it. It's like, wait, what if they actually died? Then what would happen? Like, would we have this weird time shift? And does Brennan already have that ready? Because I would just think so.
So that's the thing, is we have two things that could be happening. A, Brennan is just such a god-level DM, which we know he is, that he has this planned out to where if they died, we are not killing them off in this flashback. We are going to have a narrative reasoning for them to roll 3 fails in a row, or not in a row, but 3 fails, which means death, and still live. Especially during a wartime, because you could have a medic that comes in and has like some type of like
Revivify.
miracle, yeah, revivify or something like that happen. So like that is a complete like option. Or the other thought is all of these cold opens are pre-recorded, and they are editing the cold opens in at the beginning, because these episodes are pre-recorded to when they are airing. I had that realization during episode 2 whenever I was sitting there waiting for episode 2 to launch, and at 9 o'clock comes around, because that's what it is for our time, and I start the episode. And I'm able to skip from beginning of episode during the cold open, and I could have gone all the way to the ending and seen Wick's grandmother moment at 9:01. So all of it is pre-recorded right now. So they totally could, in Hollywood fashion, plan their outfits so that whenever episode 2 comes around, they're wearing the same outfit they wore during the filming of the cold open for episode 2. Those are 2 very feasible theories that could be true. I believe there's a lot less work in theory 1. That he just has it planned that, like, oh, if they died, who cares? Like, I mean, in campaign 1 of Fantasy High, I know you haven't watched that, but for those who have, he literally had a plan for if his characters died in campaign 1 of Fantasy High. Whenever his characters came in, they fought, they had a big combat, 2 of them ended up failing their death saves. He had the principal of the fantasy high school come in, kill himself, kill the counselor, and then that gun, or it was a necklace or something that resurrected the 2 kids, even though they had rolled 3 death saves. So there's ways around it, and I think that's probably what he would have done again. Is just had someone on the battlefield be a high enough level cleric to revivify or whatever.
Yeah, always a failsafe.
Always a failsafe. But then that brings us into the next scene, which I loved. This fireball or magical ball coming through the air, hitting the ground and making an explosion. But as it came through the air, I mean, either it's planned, or Travis, which I think this is what it is. Travis is just this good at improv and feeling the moment, and you just hear him scream. I forget what was it that he yelled whenever the magical bomb came through the air. It was like drop the deck, or incoming, or something.
It was something along the lines of, like, we need to take cover,
yeah,
that sort of deal.
Or something like, yeah. But like, it was just a perfect moment where Travis just like, his voice is just perfect for it, like that battlefield essence of like incoming, like there's a bomb, get down, and everybody drops the deck. You know, it was just such a perfect. I literally got chills whenever he did it. It was just a beautiful moment.
Yeah. The improv is fantastic.
Which then we get to see that Thjazi was struck down, and who is it that brings him into the pit with everyone else so that they can retreat? But it's Casimir, one of the people that we are not accounted for on the day of the funeral, and furthermore, we don't know where they are for that at the hanging. Which is what Brennan says in episode 1. Or in this episode 2, we will find out what happens to our friend Casimir. Which, funny enough, no, we did not.
Yeah, no, we did not.
We didn't know anything.
We have theories.
We have theories, but that's it.
Yeah, suspected
which we will
theories.
we will get there here in a second whenever we get closer like further down into the story here. So we'll come back to the story. The night at Hal's home. Taisha and Hal are up in Hal's office, looking at this wood box adorned in a lot of silver. That's really the description we're given whenever Belair and Murray are observing it back at the museum. But here, just for story's sake, it is a wooden and silver box. At the mention of Thimble's name, that box sparks open. At will. No one opened it, it just did it itself. And inside of it is a shattered porcelain, what is assumed to be a mask, because that's what it seems to form. The pieces seem to shake and pulse together, almost as if it's trying to form back together. And at observing this, Taisha nudges one to see if it'll pull together, and it doesn't. It drops her unconscious instantaneously, and those pieces and the felt that line the box turn instantaneously into smoke and fall endlessly into this swirl. Now,
and that's where we have Brennan say, I'm going to set a precedence that touching things will have a consequence.
Will be a no-no. Yeah, you should not touch things without investigating first. Which at that moment, the house shudders like an earthquake is happening. Everyone at the Faram is alerted, kind of, to what's going on upstairs, or that something is going on upstairs. In this moment, Belair and Murray race upstairs. I think actually, no, that it was one of Hal's theater friends that kind of blocks the way. In that, I believe Valus also pushes her way upstairs. During this time, we find out that no one knows what this thing is, why Thjazi had it, and what connections it has. But Belair does know that it is connected to something that he has information about back at the Tempevril, I think is what I believe is what they call it.
The Tenebral?
Tenebral, or the Arcanad is where they end up taking it, which is
I think it's
workshop.
the Tempevril, isn't it?
Yeah, the Tempevril is the name of the museum. He works in the Alloy wing, which is Taisha's family's house. But from there, Belair and Murray shut the box and take it away, getting it out of the house to try and take the danger away from Hal, because one of Thjazi's wishes was always to keep the danger as far away from Hal as possible, because he does not deserve to be involved in it. Just because Thjazi is does not mean Hal is. And I think with also to touch back on the war, I believe with Thjazi being in his mid to late 20s, 13 years ago, meaning he's in his late 30s, early 40s now, dead. I will now probably easily confirm Hal is the older brother. I know we already kind of agreed on that before, but I think now we can 100% confirm Hal is the older brother.
Now that we kind of have a metric to go on.
Yeah, now that we kind of have a timeline and an age range, we can kind of, I think, presume Hal is probably late 40s, early 50s. Thjazi was probably in his early to mid 40s, I would say. But after
plus, it's not Hero. It's his daughter, right?
Hero
What's
is
her
his
name?
daughter.
Oh, which?
Or are you talking about Shadia? Shadia and Hero are the daughters,
Shadia.
and then they also have a son that is.
And
Isn't Shadia 25?
Somewhere in there, mid-20s, I think, is what they said. And then Hero is supposed to be like late teens, I think. I want to say it was like 16 to like
something like
19,
that.
something
But
like
I think Shadia is 25, and that says a lot about how old Hal would be.
Right, exactly. Because also that means like, yeah, it just doesn't make sense for Shadia to
Him to
be
be the younger brother.
exactly. But then we are brought back down to where, like, Valus speaks to everybody and kind of makes conversation about possible connections to the box, but she's not sure either. But that is where we're brought back down to the Faram, where, like we were talking about, Hal and Hero play the song Broken Wing, where we get the name of the episode. The Broken Wing is a song that was played during the beginning of the Falconers' Rebellion, during a time when people on Thjazi and the Torn Banner side of things were very hopeful for the change and for their side of the war. They believed their cause was righteous and that it was good and that it was going to win. Sadly, we now know it doesn't. And while this song starts up, we are greeted back again with Taor, Pridesire, Thimble, Cadigan, Octus, and Azune. These guys come back from the, not the Rookery, but the Tanners. Coming back to the Rookery where Hal lives. They come back with heavy hearts that the Stone of Nightingale, or Night Song is gone. Nightingale. The Stone of Night Song is gone. Getting a little Skyrim in there. And
right. It's the music.
yeah, and that she is still holding the glyph that was supposed to go on Thjazi for the escape. And they needed to check his body to find what was on him, what Azune did scan on his body.
Which was crudely crafted physically, but the actual magic, the enchantment on it, was
very
fine.
Precisely to make sure they knew that, because whenever they check the body, they find the rune that was placed on him, which was crudely made of like crude, weak materials, but was made with very strong magic to make sure that that Azune was 100% sure going to fail, because he was not going to be able to see that this was a fake. Because whoever did this knew that that he was not going to be able to get 100% eyes on the object. After this, Thimble has her moment with Valus accusing her, and end up reconciling after realizing that Valus was not behind the attack. That she just simply wants the stone back that Thjazi stole, and Thimble was just kind of an accomplice to that, like, not to kind of fully brush off her blame, but she was just there, probably going along with whatever whim Thjazi had. And again, not to put full blame on Thjazi. Thjazi was a hero and he did good and bad. But that good, or those bad things kind of touch people. So there, I just went ahead and had these questions kind of early. Actually, we did get this information in this part where it says, because I think it was Blair did a check on it, an Arcana check, and found that it came from like the halfling Angel of Death, Obalad.
Obalad.
Which, I mean, with
Obalad.
with the typical whenever you typically hear like night song, you typically like I mean there's a lot of lores on that through other fantasies, and typically that's a artifact held by whoever death is, essentially, or it is a thing that is a veil that connects you to the other side. So my theory, again, just my working theory right now, just off of kind of context clues, if Obalad is the angel of death for the halfling religion, then I'm assuming maybe the Stone of Night Song might have something to do with when Obalad was alive. Um, Maybe the stone was its artifact for taking those souls from the land of the dead to the afterlife. But now that land is that resting place of the gods is untethered. Brennan
It's
also
not completely
dropped on us.
gone. It's just untethered.
Well, that's theory. The theory is that it is still out there somewhere, just untethered from dol-makjar. But, which I mean, that's very possible. What it could be is that in the multiverse, like in the different planes, there are multiple versions of whatever god Obalad was serving. And in those planes, that god is not gone. So the plane is tethered. That their resting plane is tethered to that. But whenever you kill that god, that tether is snapped. And I believe that's kind of the idea. Is that maybe there are other ways of, like, grasping on to these realms, and I will get to that later when we get to the Pentevral, or not the Pentevral, but whenever we get to the Arcanod. But I have theories about that too. But I think that this stone may be part of it. Might be like a key to accessing this realm. But then I also had my notes. Why did Thjazi have these things? Why did Thjazi have these items of just death? Like Obalad's coffin. And later we'll find out that it has a lot more going on. And then we have the Stone of Night Song, which, I mean, it is connected to a sisterhood of people that, like, are, like, immortal beings, essentially. I mean, they're elves. And, like, what is Thjazi doing? Like, what is this? Who is this dude?
Right, absolutely.
And then I also have, where is Sid and Casimir? Why aren't they there? We have Taylor.
I also think that the fact that pretty much all of these big things are celestial, and as we'll find out later on, it's like that's definitely a connection. There's a whole connection there between the celestial and kind of the realm of death.
Yes, or we don't know if that specifically is this celestial. Well, this celestial maybe, but that other celestials maybe. Who knows? Because we do find out in this part that the whenever the gods died, the celestials started to run rampant at like monsters, and they just killed everything in sight. Yeah, they just went feral because they had nothing to serve. They had no guiding focus centering them on a job. So then they just kind of.
And he even says, in a roundabout way, he says something along the lines of, "To look upon a celestial is to look upon death."
Yeah, that was kind of the sentiment after the Shapers' War, is that after the gods were gone, to look upon a celestial would have been the end. They would have killed you. And like for most people, like a common folk, you wouldn't have had a choice in that. But then we get a conversation from Taylor, speaking about Sid, his younger brother, who we have learned steals things, is unreliable, and I mean probably is not the best choice to have brought onto this job. But then also, we find out that Casimir probably isn't the most reliable either. You would have thought, probably if he was a true friend of Thjazi's, would have shown up. Now,
Wasn't it said that Sid was between Sid and Casimir? Wasn't it Sid that was the closest to
closer
Thjazi?
of the friends, yes, closer of the two friends. And then, so that's, again, my working theory. This is gonna be my catchphrase here. My working theory right now is the one that I like the most. Because I'm gonna start off with this, and then I'll do my. But I also think this after. I think Sid ran. I think after the plan didn't go through, and he knew, like, I mean, obviously he's on the other side of the wall with this carriage to take Thjazi away in. He obviously heard the snapping, probably the gasps or the cheers of the people in the crowds. I believe that Sid got scared and ran. Sid's not a true warrior. He was kicked out of the Falconers' Rebellion for stealing. He became a carriage driver afterwards in dol-makjar to kind of make up for that. Or not to make up for it, but to make money. He's not a fighter. He probably ran. After everything happened, he probably ran in fear of getting caught. He's been caught before doing crimes. Probably doesn't want to get caught again. But then, furthermore, I think Casimir seems like he's the likely culprit. I mean, for multiple reasons. He wasn't the closer friend of the two, and he had all of the means to sabotage. He was the one that was providing the cart. He is a part of the, the Crow Keepers?
Crow Keepers?
Yeah, is that what they're... Yeah, the Crow Keepers. Wow, I'm remembering that properly. And, like, he doesn't have to be, like, the center of the operation, and he doesn't have to be exactly the problem. He could have just been the leak. Because all it had to have taken was the Crow Keepers knowing that the job was happening. If he's a part of it, he's a part of it. If not, then the Crow Keepers could have just known, incapacitated him, kidnapped him, and then turned around and did the job themselves. Stole, like, planted the fake rune on Thjazi, attacked Thimble, and then left Sid out to dry to not know what's going on and just be sitting there. That could 100% be what's going on. And I'm not saying Sid isn't fully out of this. I just really don't think Sid is the mastermind. Nothing points to him being the mastermind in any way. If anything, he's just a pawn or a moving part in this.
Right, I definitely feel that.
But if you don't have any more to say there, we'll, like Brandon Lee Mulligan
Not
says,
yet.
if you're okay with moving on to the next morning, we'll move on to the Candescent Creed, where we are at the Villa Aurora, and we are here with Tyranny, and we see a little bit of an interaction with her sisters, which is a funny thing that we're getting the full spectrum of demons. We're getting the kind of succubus style demon where she's just absolutely gorgeous, big red lips, kind of your sexy demon. You're getting your middle of the ground where it's like, I'm sweet and I'm sour. Where we have Tyranny, and then we have I forget which one's which.
Agony?
Agony, or if it's Agony.
Agony's the clumsy one.
And then the
that
big
keeps
one,
falling.
and the big one is like the
So
big
Cruelty.
Cruelty. And then we have Cruelty, which is still a girl, still one of the sisters, but it's just a big monster. And we get like kind of the full spectrum of it, which I think is hilarious. Where then
and I love how, oh gosh, it's who's Sam's character? What's his name again?
Oh, Wickander.
Wickander.
Wiki.
It's his. Yeah,
You're
Wiki.
getting promoted, Wiki.
Oh man, dude, that was so funny. Yeah,
Oh.
Wiki, you're getting promoted. It's like a mob boss right
Yeah,
there.
dude. It like,
But
and I love how they're using in the cooldowns how they're like just the code switching of Grandma Yanessa.
how she goes from like she's talking so fluently and like,
And so-
yes, I am a high priestess, and then she's like, all right, Wiki, what the hell just happened there? You know, oh yeah.
Don't
Wiki,
you know
you're
our
getting promoted.
family's have enemies? Like, don't you know? Like, goes from very prim and proper to
And he even slapped his fist down too.
yeah,
which
like I
was
mean,
oh,
goes
good.
from the Queen of England to Peaky Blinders in a snap of the finger.
Yes.
You know, like was so quick.
Yeah,
which I
that duality is impressive.
But
I was just saying on Cruelty, his dad, Wiki's dad, I love how their voices are almost the same.
Yeah,
so
it's
it
like
makes
kind
me
of a parallel.
picture them as the same person because it's just
yeah,
like
I got
they explain him as
confused.
this gigantic man,
and I thought
and then
Cruelty
you got
was
Cruelty, which is a female demon, and then it's just like same voice. Okay, just gigantic people right here.
yeah, I thought Cruelty was Tyranny's dad at first until episode 2, and I was like, sisters? Oh, that's funny.
Right?
But then, so to continue, we are here. We are left there with Wick and Tyranny speaking before Tayor comes into the room, and we get another insight to Wick's personality. That he's so indoctrinated that and so high-minded because of that he is so ignorant to the situation that like maybe this guy isn't our friend. Maybe this guy's gonna try and manipulate me. No, I'm forgiving. We have to forgive him. He's here to make friends. Like maybe I'll be nice. I'll have to reject him a couple of times, but on the second ask, I'll let him in. And it's like that's not how the world works, bro. What are you talking about?
His world is the Photar.
Yeah, the Photarch, yeah, and the Candescent Creed and everything. Like it is just so like blinders. It's crazy. But then we are again shown Tayor's abilities with the crate falling onto one of the porters and Tayor lifting it up with that nat 20 perfect timing roll.
Yet another nat 20.
Just lifting it up and then using
single-handed.
Yeah, I think it's lay on hands that he used to heal that porter.
Yeah.
Which leads me to my next question. With the gods and celestials being dead, yes, we know what happens at the end, but that's a whole nother situation. Because Tayor's not connected to the Candescent Creed as far as we know. How does Tayor have powers? Because
right,
paladins and clerics get all of their powers from a god and worshiping a god. And Tayor seems to just have it naturally because he is post Shaper's War mortal, I guess. And so how?
Touched. My theory on that is that, yeah, we know what happens at the end of this episode. So, I mean, that's not a god, that's a celestial, right?
That we know
but
of.
Also,
I would assume it's a celestial.
Yeah, that we know of.
I would assume it's a celestial.
And so, you know, there's all kinds of corruption and there's all kinds of lies. So who's to say that the God Wars actually were completely successful? I mean, there could be gods in hiding.
True. That's a good point. There could be gods in hiding. Another theory, I guess, that I just kind of thought of up on the spot was maybe there are other connections to other planes, and somehow Tayor has a connection to that other plane's gods.
True. I didn't think about other planes. It's like
There's that theory. There's that thought. I'm not really too sure. It was just a thought in my head of like, how does he have power if we are led to believe that like because the gods are dead, warlocks are more prominent because you don't have to be a god to be someone's patron. You just have to be magically, like, highly magically saturated. Like dragons can be your patron or anything, you know. A demon can be your patron, which also is going to lead into one of my other questions here in a second. But like, I don't know if because they did. Another thing that they said about campaign 4 is because they're working with like the creators of D&D, they are having a lot of custom subclasses and stuff. So this could be a part of that. It could be a paladin that is ran more like a warlock style paladin, where you have more of a patron than a deity. That's a possibility. But that also leads in my other question. What part does the demons play in this grand plan? Like why, if, like, with what we know about the end of this episode, because we'll talk more about it then too, but let's touch on it for a second. They know everything that's going on. And I mean, maybe it's just to have people to have their hands dirty and they don't have to, and demons are okay with it, maybe. But, like, why bring the demons in if it's not to make them look, just to maybe be heavy lifters? I don't know. Like, I don't know. I'm not sure.
And also with and obviously this is another thing at the end we'll touch on, but just to preface this, I think it was Cruelty that looks back at Tyranny and says, now you don't have to worry about keeping secrets. And so I'm thinking that Cruelty. Like the subservience, they're feigning this subservience. They're not actually subservient.
Right. I knew that, but it's more of like I think they're more subservient to the Photarch, because they seem to be in service to the Photarch, but why? Like, but now I did kind of have an epiphany literally as you were talking. I don't know if you saw my eyes go wide, me like go, oh crap. But it could be that's the demons might be how they got the what is it called? The prismatic retort. Maybe that's how they got the angel into the prismatic retort, was making a deal with these demons to share the power that comes from this angel with the demons, and the demons would just kind of, we scratch your back, we're now going to scratch yours. Like, maybe that's kind of what the relationship is that like, hey, we needed help getting this to happen, and that might be what it is. But let's move on.
We'll definitely touch on that.
Yeah. Let's move on to Belair and Murray over at the Arcanod, where they're studying.
Did we talk about how after Wick?
Oh, we didn't talk about
forgives.
That. You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. After that, if you want to go ahead. Actually, if you want to talk more on that.
Yeah. So Wick, in his innocence and ignorance and his trust in his religion, one of the I forget what they said, the values or tenets or whatever,
tenets.
I don't know if it was number 4 or number 1 or number 2.
Right.
Forgiveness is one of them. So he forgives Tayor for fighting in the rebellion and asked him if he still has any sort of animosity, and Tayor is like, no, that is not. That is neither here nor now. That is not something, that's in the past. That has already passed.
That was a good Tayor impersonation. That was good.
And then so Photarch Yanessa comes in, and she talks about needing to up the security because who knows what's going to happen. She doesn't quite trust everyone yet with everything going on. So she wants to up the security, specifically for Wick, and basically offers him a job without actually saying the words. And even Wick, after a while, is just like, are we wanting him to be part of this? Like, do we want him to be my new, like follow me and be my guardian sort of deal? And then it kind of really oddly goes to that after she offers, like, do you want food and drink? And then Tyranny is just like, oh, hey, that's on me. Hey, come follow me. We'll go get you some snackies. And then
snackies.
right after that, Photart goes from her elegance to you do a good impersonation of this, but she's just like when are you gonna open your eyes, Wiki, and see what's actually going on? And then she's just like get rid of the what did she say? Get rid of the
get rid of the throw rug.
Yeah, get rid of the throw rug. And he's like, wait, what? The cat man?
Yeah. It's like, oh, we're talking about these things as if they're insects now? Oh, yeah. Okay.
And I just thought that was so interesting because she heavily leaned, like, she was so polite, so just
friendly, and very
hospital.
Much, which, I mean, gives off that, like, great grandmother vibe whenever you bring someone of a different ethnicity around, It's just like, they're so sweet at first, and then they leave the room, and then they're like, why'd you bring that? It's like, whoa, where is this coming from? Like, what the hell?
And so after she says all this, and he's just like, wait, what are you talking about? You're talking about the cat man. Get rid of him. I thought he was here to help. I thought, I didn't. And she's just like, he's here for no good. He's here for trickery. He's up to no good. Whatever she actually said. And
because Travis failed his. We don't know if it was persuasion or deception, but he failed that check, which then made it to where he was not.
Right.
Like, she didn't believe him, which, I mean, imagine where that would have gone if we would have had Travis Willingham, instead of nat 20ing that athletics check, he nat 20s that deception check. And she's like, oh, yeah, Wiki.
Yeah, I'm really curious about that. But then after all of that,
bring him to a meeting with your father tonight. And we
after all of that, she says, don't make any plans for tonight.
Yeah, and then say we have that side where Tayor is brought into the loop on that because he's now the head of Wiki's security. What if we had
that? Would have been interesting.
That would have been crazy, because then we would have had a member of the Torn Banner on the inside. And it just would have been wild. I was immediately, as soon as that she code switched there, I was just like, what if this didn't happen? What if we got Aor in on the Condescent Creed,
And I was listening to this at work, and so I also as soon as she code switched, I was just like, hold on, I stopped what I was doing, went back just a little bit, and he really called him a throw rogue.
Yeah.
But yeah, then. And then she says, she's like, Wiki, I've got to tell you, there's a lot of things that I've told you that are actually not true. Then he kind of goes on to saying, why did we not save him? Why Thjazi? I think this is where he says this. And then she's like, or am I going too far?
No, you're right. No, I think you're right.
Yeah.
He's like, why didn't we do this? And she's like, well, it's because the Trichonus demanded that he
yes
and that's,
and she's just like she's like, this plan was a mistake. This plan was a mistake. And then that's where she says, don't make any plans for tonight.
I think and the plan that she's talking about is lying to Wick, I think, is where she's talking about. I don't think she was talking about following what the Trichonus want, because I think following what the Trichonus want, that's an inevitable. They don't really have a choice in that, because from what it seems, with what Aisha said whenever Loza was leaving, and she said, hey, that Trichonus kid, is that all right? Does the Circle of Elders know that you're working with them? And she's like, no, but it's okay. Loza said the apple doesn't fall far from the tree because I see that undead fox running around, which leads me to believe that the Draconis are necromancy mages, and that's what they deal in, and that is why they are so much more powerful than the Halavars right now. Is that the Halavars are falling behind because the gods are gone. Because the gods are gone, all they have is the prismatic retort to lean onto, and if they didn't have that, then they literally have no power. Whereas what the Draconises do is they're wizards, and they are relying on the natural essence of the magic around them, and I believe that's what's going on there. But to kind of skip along here to Murray and Belair at the Arcanod. They're studying the box, which originally was believed to just be some wood and silver box, now found out to be the coffin of Obalad, holy crap. Had a burp in the middle of that on accident. The halfling celestial angel of death.
And made from the wood of the wastes and plates from the temple of Rawin.
Yep. Yes, sir. And as they start to kind of investigate it, but Belair takes an instrument and like dips it down into the box, and as he does that, it keeps going, and he just drops it. They wait a moment, and they never hear it hit the bottom. Coming to believe that there is an endless void within there. Honestly, that's most of what happens there, other than that, that Belair finds the crate of paint that is for Hal with all my love. That's the only kind of two things that happen. Not a lot of like crazy stuff happens, and I kind of rush over that mainly because just because a lot didn't happen there does not mean we didn't learn a lot.
Right.
I do believe we learned so much from that scene. From him dropping that pin in, I think that kind of furthers the statement that this is a connection to that realm of resting. Now, I don't think it is the full connection. I think Brennan talked about that veil, that place before the afterlife, but afterlife. That's not how he worded it, but that's a paraphrasing of what he said. And he described it as a veil. And it's that veil between our world and the realm of resting. I believe this box is a connection to that veil. This is that veil is not just like a wall or a translucent wall. This veil is an actual realm, just like the planes of existence are different layers stacked on each other, inhabiting the same space. I believe this veil is a plane within it. And I believe this box is that plane, or is a connection to that plane. Now,
one thing I was unclear on is, so we know it's the coffin of Obalad, halfling celestial angel of death. Was there a body in it? Like, what was in the box, or was it just the myth?
Just the mask, the shattered mask. When they touched it, that's whenever it filled with the mist. But that's all we know about it. Now, they're wanting, another thing they did say is they need to get someone with a familiar that they can stick the familiar in there and be able to see through it, so they can see what's in there. And once they do that, we will actually have solid information. But I just think we learned enough to give a good a good little theory, you know. And that's what we
One
do
thing
here.
that I loved about that statement, whenever they talked about like, well, we need someone with a familiar that they can see through, so we can send them in and see what we can find. That's where Murray was just like, well, we have puppies.
Yeah, right. Yeah, they, yeah. But now, like, I mean, that's really all I've got. Like, the only other thing I have is like this could be a tether to what God does this angel serve, um, and that's something I'm really curious for Thursday. I'm really ready to figure that out. But then
Yes,
furthermore,
absolutely.
what are these paints for?
That's
What are the
what I'm
paints?
wondering too.
And so,
Also, for Howl with all my love.
right,
It's like, what does
so
that mean?
I don't know, and this is just a stupid theory off the top of my head. And I'm sorry for all the viewers. That's what we do here. Bunch of theories. Um, but my theory here is that I think it's not as big as we think it is. I think it's kind of something simple.
Like,
Hal,
this is pain.
no,
Because you're an
Hal,
artist.
Hal just received a piece of property that he's worked his whole life for. Theater. I wonder how long that theater has been up. I don't think long, because he took the deal. Like, I think it had something to do with Thjazi, why he got this. And it was, the deed was sitting on his desk, you know, during the Farang. So, paints just for the theater? Could the paints have nothing to do with anything of our story? And it's strictly just, hey, I bought you paints, and I wanted you to be able to paint your building that you just got, and I wanted you to be able to think of me whenever you saw it.
When he was at the hanging of Thjazi, and he was kind of able to talk to him for a bit, he gave him that message. He did mention the paints, but he said that the paints were from. Did he mention who the paints were from?
No, he just says there's paints for you at with Belair. That's all he said
Oh,
about the
okay.
paint.
With
That's all he
Bolaire,
said.
yeah.
And
Okay.
like that could have been like yes, he was panicked. Yes, he had come to a realization of something, but maybe that realization was partially that yes, he knew he was gonna die that day, but also like I need to get all my information out right now, because I'm not getting out of here. I'm not going to be able to give those paints to Hal myself. I know I'm dying now, so I need to let him know that those paints are there for him. So maybe that was all that was, really, was just like, oh, hey, I have paints for you. Because he literally threw a joke at him saying, like, hey, what are you doing for lunch? What are you doing for lunch after this?
Yeah,
What,
yeah.
you don't, like, I mean, he is a fairly relaxed guy, so part of that could have been, hey, I need you to help Murray. Because Murray is having problems at the Pentevral because the families are trying to take over. And then on the other end, hey, I bought you something for your theater. Paints. They're with they're with Bolaire. Don't forget that. And those are the two things he had to get out right then and there to make sure that those messages got across. That could have been all it was. But I mean, I
could see
doubt
that.
it. I doubt it, to be honest. But like, I mean, that could just be another one of my favorite terms lately is it could just be a red herring. It
Right.
could just be Brennan Lee Mulligan being like, look over here while I do something over here.
Remind me again when Thjazi, as he was like speaking, and he looked up and then went into a panic. Remind me again, why did he go into a panic? What did he see?
We don't know.
Do we? We
We
don't
have
know.
no clue.
Okay.
No clue.
Yeah, I'm
but
really curious about that one.
Let's
But
really,
we'll find out.
yeah. Let's keep moving on to the Davinos thread, we'll call it, because
Davinos.
we don't get to go to the Davinos home because we are met with a hungover Julian being collected by his father. He's being collected because Julian's at a
Brothel.
brothel. Thank you. Because all the worst terms were coming to my head, and I did not want to say that one. But
House.
yeah, so we find out that Matt Mercer likes to play the bi character.
Yep.
And whenever I first listened to this, I thought it was two guys. I thought it was just he was very clearly stating my character's gay, which is I thought was just kind of a goofy matter because he is married to Marisha Ray, but that he
Right.
wants to play, he wants to imagine that he's gay, which I think is freaking awesome. Which then we're kind of given an insight to the relationship between him and his father, which kind of gives us a lot of insight, I believe, to Julian. I believe this
Right.
interaction, every interaction between now and whenever they get to the Royce home to meet with Lady Aranessa, we see multiple moments where it seems that Julian has always been held to a high standard but could never meet it. Whether that standard was unachievable or that he just did not care to fully achieve that standard out of spite, who knows? But
I wouldn't say unachievable. I would say avoidable, and he has been avoiding it.
well, that's what I'm saying is like I don't know if it's unachievable or if he's been avoiding it. I don't know which one it is because it also seems like he's striving to become great in what he believes is great, not what others believe is great. Which I mean, I can kind
Right.
of respect that because he's been told what is greatness his whole life because everyone tells him his father is great or Thjazi was great, and then
Or his father's golden path.
right, exactly. But then, whenever they're in this Falconer's Rebellion, they're fighting on the opposite side of Thjazi, and Thjazi is the one that leads it all. And he takes down the leader, takes down their hero. That kind of you would expect, like from his point of view, you would expect praise because he just ended a rebellion in the favor of his side, and that would bring honor to his house in the view of all the other sundered houses. So I mean, I do like I understand both sides obviously, but I do like now coming into episode 2, I have a better appreciation for why he has so much animosity towards everyone around him, is because almost everyone around him looks at him as if he should be better than he truly is. And why? Why should he? That's up to him, not up to everyone around him. And like I get it. Like I get that to a degree, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that was just what I wanted to say about that, was that like I do enjoy that insight that we got on Julian, because I now like him more as a character than I did before. Like
Right.
it wasn't like oh wow, he's a piece of shit and that's fun. It's more of a like,
Yeah.
wow, he's a piece of shit, but this piece of shit's got layers.
Yeah, we met him as he's spitting on the face of a dead body.
Right. But
And
then,
now we see the onion.
right, exactly. Where we also find out that almost everyone has a problem with the Draconuses. Even the Royce family and the Davinos family as well. Really, I would say let's kind of move along. We get a touch base with Cadigan and Azune, where both of them are kind of heading in their own directions. Cadigan heads back to Hal's home, where Azune is basically returning to work. He's a part of the Revolutionary Guard, and he's an arcane marshal. He's going and he has been kind of abruptly met with this meeting with a member, the home of which this person is a part of is the Euripides family. No, that's Dean Euripides. Sorry, wrong. Can't remember what family. We will come back to that, and that will be just a fact check we do later on. A family from one of the houses come in and kind of is disbanding the Revolutionary Guard in favor of emplacing the noble militia, and I believe this is them kind of enacting kind of a dictatorship after the death of Thjazi. They've kind of killed out the last of the people that were really fighting back against the sundered houses. So it's time to really kind of finish things for them. They start going through and they do disband the Revolutionary Guard. They're still keeping the arcane marshals on staff because most are not as innate with perceiving magic by eye. And furthermore, they go over to the Penteveral as well to kind of force their hand there as well, making it to where the head, the Dean Euripides, what I misspoke on earlier, make him resign and allow for their own power to come in place.
He was sacked.
Yeah, he was sacked, and he is now having to step down so that the school can continue to practice magic. In a very Harry Potter way of Brennan kind of constructing his world here, I think is kind of funny. He's very much showing his millennial side of him right now. But to backtrack just a second to Cat again, he kind of goes over and joins over at the home of Hal, where everyone else is starting to get around. And Thimble, Cadigan, and who else was it that went with them over to Octus? And Octus go over to check on the Crow Keepers over at the Guard Tower Tavern. And they wanted to check specifically with Casimir because they want to see where has he been. Like, is he a part of what happened to Thjazi and he just kind of betrayed everyone, or is this just a coincidence that he hasn't shown up?
That's the question that I had on this one. Maybe jumping ahead a bit. So they talk to someone, and they are referred to Solomon, as we only know to call him. And so is it Thimble who's just like, oh hey Saul, and Saul's just like, oh hey Thimble, what do you need? And Thimble's like, well actually we're looking for Kaz. And then it's roll for initiative immediately. I'm like, okay, so do we know what happened between Solomon and Thimble?
I don't think, no, we don't. So, my thing, I don't know if the bags came over their heads instantaneously, or if that was the sound she heard, and now next session we're going to get a reaction to that. I don't know. That was a little confusing to me.
How it was worded was that she... Well, I don't know how he worded it, but basically it was worded that she heard this. I think he said
the whistling. The whistling.
He said a whistling.
Yeah.
He said a whistling sound of a burlap sack, and then that was it.
That was it.
And I'm gonna assume that that's a kidnapping.
I would assume too, or I mean attempted, and that's what I'm saying is like maybe it's just attempted, and they're they're gonna.
Because they already did their rolls
combat
for initiative.
Yeah, they may have combat to keep this from happening, and maybe it doesn't, maybe it does. Who knows? But let's move over to our final scene here. where we're over back with Wiki at the Villa Aurora, where they're now being guided down to see the prismatic retort. And Wick is very wide-eyed and optimistic about this. And he's very enthusiastic. He's thinking he's getting this promotion. But in reality, he's led to this 30-foot tall sarcophagus made of stone with all of these runes and writings on it and ropes coming off of it, holding it up kind of at a slope. And Wick's dad comes over and takes off his blindfold, and we learn that Wick's dad has no eyelids and constantly is shooting light beams out of his eyes. Don't know if it's like straight up like just light,
laser vision,
or if it's
or
like
what?
Cyclops laser beams. I don't know. But beams come out of his light, and he guides it into the front of the prismatic retort, which then opens up to show Wiki's grandfather, the
And let's not forget
Celestial.
the Warhounds
Yes, the
that
Warhounds.
seemingly cast Dispel magic for whatever
Yes.
reason.
Which I believe that is probably
A protection?
either I think it could be that Wick could have a protection on him at all times that he doesn't know about, that is just casted on him by either his grandmother or his father, or it's just to make sure that there is no arcane presence here. Whether that means that the angel will react to it, or whether it's just to make sure that no one can magically dispel anything that's going on and cause a problem. I believe that's probably what it is just a security measure. But
Right.
who knows? But this leads me into a lot of questions. I have a lot of theories on this.
Okie dokie.
I think, for one, everyone is leaning into the thought that Grandma Halavar hit that. I think it's experimentation. I think they have been experimenting on this angel. I think they've been, just like they've been drawing the blood, I think they've been drawing the DNA and have been experimenting with it. And one of those experiments was Wick's father.
Wick.
Well, Wick, but
Oh, yeah.
Wick's father more specifically, because Wick's father would be the direct descendant, which then leads us to believe that Wick's father is an Aesmer. And this is how we're going to get another race added into the mix. Now, I think my epiphany from earlier is a good, strong theory on why the demons are here. They're here because they helped bring this angel to its knees, pin it into the Iron Maiden of sorts, and have now made a deal of like, we are both going to feed off of this now. And I think that's what we got now. I do believe that's probably our best theory right now for that, because I don't know what else could be happening here.
I think that would tie into the what do the Candescents call the liquid?
Filament.
The filament. I think that ties into the filament.
Because they do talk about how you could drink the filament, there's so many things you can do with the filament to gain its blessings, and I believe that kind of feeds it. That the demons are probably feeding off of the blood and the essence of this angel.
Yeah.
But that makes it a very crazy turn for this campaign. Yeah. My only thing that I have that like we may have missed over is the fact that Octus is being hunted down by his own family. But I feel like that was kind of an obvious that's gonna happen. You commit treason on your family. They're gonna come for you, you know? Like, that does not surprise me. Now I'm curious about how that's going to play out henceforth. I mean, technically, he did nothing. So, technically, can't really be blamed for anything. But we'll see what happens. Maybe this is how we get everyone rallied together. Is that Julius is now having to protect Octus because House Royce and House Devanos. I have to read it to really.
Divinos.
I have to get up to it. Divinos. Yep. Because those two families are wanting to come together to kind of protect him for their own means. We could have them rallying behind Octus, and then that kind of pulling everyone to kind of an understanding with Julian, because he's now trying to protect one of them. And I feel like that kind of brings their story threads together. So that's pretty cool. I wasn't sure how they were going to do that, and that was a smart way of doing it. But, do you have anything else that you wanted to touch on we may have missed, or anything otherwise?
Our theories / opinions on will Wick side with the Candescent Creed, or after finding all of this out, is he going to break away? And when and if he does break away, what happens then?
So, that's something that I don't think they do a great job of touching on the cooldown, because they do touch on it very briefly, but I don't believe they touch on it in a good manner, because they 100% could, Brennan said that that whenever you have someone that is so indoctrinated that they are so removed from the darkness that when they become the problem, you have to bring them in on the darkness so that they are now guilty of it. Well, I think they missed something there. When you bring someone in on that and they are so indoctrinated into it, and you rip that foundation out from under them, they are more likely to crumble. They are more likely to fall in on themselves and betray everything they know. So then that family that fed him that lie is now going to become the enemy, and I think that he will then become an inside to the Candescent Creed, and he's going to try and find a way to change within, or he will fully reject, kind of running to Tayor and trying to rally with, trying to pull pieces together to oh wow, my family's wrong. Were they always wrong? Was the Falconers' Rebellion right? Was Thjazi truly right? Is that why he's dead? Oh no, who do I trust? The people that Thjazi trusted. That's a quick assumption, a quick chain of thought to come to whenever you're just fully falling apart. I think that's kind of what's going to drive him closer to the rest of the characters. And then furthermore, I think that that Tyranny may see him as a dumb child, but I think she also does respect his purity and his hopefulness. And I think whenever he puts these pieces together and makes this final decision, I think he will approach Tyranny and ask her to come with him. And that could be a possibility as well, of her coming with and turning against both of their families, because she may see it as a chance to get away from the terrible siblings that she has and everything.
And also, I don't think that she seems to like his dad either, and seemingly knowing everything that's been going on, and after having the respect of Wick that he has given her and how kind he's been and how he has kind of actually seemingly changed who she is in a way, I could see her following him, especially since when they went down into that, that basement or whatever it was, that underground cathedral where the Iron Maiden was, he said something and then to her, and then she said, "Hey, wait a minute, let me just tell you something real quick." And she's, basically just said, I really respect you and I've had a good time with you. I think that was not because of what she knows. I think she meant that.
Right. And I think that's all, it could also be a part of, because of what she knows, she's saying, I want you to know that this is how I feel before all of this is hit with us. Because
before the shit hits the fan.
Yeah, I have truly enjoyed my time with you, and it may be coming to an end now. Because you may not want to be around me anymore. But, yeah, that's...
Yeah, I can definitely see that. Also, she's an actual player character, too, so it's just well, I'm going to assume you're probably going to go with
Gonna come with the group, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, who knows? With this type of campaign, we never know.
Especially since it began with death saving throws.
Exactly. I mean, Tyranny may not be around after episode 3 or 4, she could be dead and she could be rolling a whole different character after. But
yeah, I mean,
we'll see.
Brennan literally said, have your second character ready.
Exactly. But that's left to be known during Campaign 4, Episode 3.
And that wraps up our deep dive into Episode 2, Broken Wing. This one really set the tone for the campaign. A perfect mix of emotional fallout, shifting alliances, and those threads of mystery that Brennan Lee Mulligan loves to weave in early.
Absolutely. We got major insights into the Falconers' Rebellion. We had some tense moments with Murray and Belair. And that final scene with Wick and his grandmother? Man, that changes everything about how we see his story moving forward.
Yeah, and it leaves us with a lot of questions heading into Episode 3, like what's in that silver box? How will the Fang family react to Thimble's return? And, more importantly, who's really pulling the strings behind the scenes?
We'll be breaking down all of that and more next time on Talking Crit. If you liked hanging out with us today, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It helps other adventurers find us and join our little recovery group.
You can also catch other episodes and follow our actual play podcast, The Ashen Realm, on our channel, Adventurers Anonymous. Well, that's going to do it for this week. Until next time, keep your rolls high, your hearts full, and remember to keep talking that crit.